Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by my two very close friends, Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio, Ralph Schrager up in New England. And a lot's been happening the last couple of days. I want to turn it right over to Ray. We all know about the trades. Ray, just dissect it. I'm sure most of the fans know, but let's just go over it quickly. All right.
Yeah. All right. First trade was Sauce to the Colts. We all know that. Uh, two first rounders from the Colts. That's the good part. 2026 and 2027 first round picks. And we also picked up a wide receiver, Adonai. I'm not sure how he exactly pronounced it. Adonai Mitchell,
Right.
who I thought I've seen him in other games. I thought he's been, not bad, not
Yeah, he pulled a Malachi
yeah.
Corona.
He did.
Yeah, he
So the
did.
Jets always need someone to do that.
We'll
That
get
seems
into
to be
that.
becoming a
Okay.
trend, though, in the NFL for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't either. But yeah,
Teach him
so
well.
that was the big one. Not that the one with Dallas isn't also, but the two first rounders is and a wide receiver that may be able to step in and help us is the big part with that one too. Second trade was Quinnen to Dallas, and this one kind of hurt, even though I feel. I'd like to see Quinnen make the playoffs. I mean, he deserves it with the way he plays. To go to the Cowboys is kind of tough to cheer for him, but I won't
Yeah,
be
and they're
upset.
probably not going to make the playoffs either.
Probably not this year anyway. Yeah. So out of that one, we got this year or next year's 2026 second round pick, and then the 2027 first round pick, and we get the better of the two, whichever one it is.
Between them and Green Bay.
And then
Right.
we
And just so the fans, just to recollect, it was the Green Bay trade for Micah Parsons
Right.
yeah,
that did it.
yeah.
But go ahead, Ray.
And then from them we got a guy to take his place from him, Mozzie Smith, who was a Michigan guy who didn't pan out, but
First round pick a couple of years ago.
yeah, he was, and really hasn't done much of anything. So, maybe it's the system. Who knows? Maybe we can plug him in and he'll do something. But so that's the two main trades, and then late we acquired and Jasur. I don't know how he pronounces it.
Yeah.
Jasur Taylor, cornerback, but he's mainly backup and his mainly on special teams for a 2028 seventh round conditional pick.
Ooh,
Right.
So I'm not
Right. And
not sure what the conditions are, but
yeah,
now we're
but
still Jet fans.
I just want to mention, and I'm sure I don't even know if he's going to be on the team a year from now, but Jason Taylor is from Asbury Park, New Jersey. He went
yes,
he went to Brick Township. And I think I heard he went to Wake Forest. I could be
yeah,
wrong on
he
that.
did.
He
He went to
did.
Wake Forest. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a sixth round pick in 2022, 214th overall. So we'll see. And let's jump right to Ralph. Ralph, give us your initial thoughts before we get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Well, when Ray sent me the text, I was ecstatic. I was never thought they could get two first rounders for Sauce. His players deteriorated each year. He's a flawed player. He's not a bad player, and I like him. He's a nice guy. I wish him well. But I don't know what Indianapolis is watching film-wise. I don't care. I'm happy to get the two first round picks. Quinn Williams,
Ralph,
I,
can
you
I
know,
can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Because we had even spoken about this. I'm just curious. If the Jets got a first round and let's say either a second or third, would you have been happy also?
Definitely a first and a second I would have, and I might have even done it for first and a third. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they gave him that huge contract, and from the moment they gave it to him, I had a bad feeling, It was like, they were sort of stuck. What do we do? We let him go. We've invested so much in this guy. He has a lot of potential. We have to sign him, but he's really not worth that much money. So I think it's a win-win. They get these. Not only do they get rid of a guy whose game is flawed, and I don't think he's the type of cornerback that Aaron Glenn likes. Aaron Glenn was always a very aggressive player. Sauce, he doesn't like to tackle, and when he does, the next play, next thing you know, he's in the blue 10. He's very fragile, and I just don't think he fit in with Aaron Glenn's vision. Uh, and to get 2 first-round picks is just amazing. And it reminded me so much of the Jamal Adams situation, except for the fact that Adams was a headache and Gardner's a good guy. Um, and the other thing that is kind of worrisome about that situation was that we really fleeced Seattle and we turned them into good players, the picks. But yet, here we are 3 or 4 years later, and we stink, and Seattle is a very good team, partially because of a quarterback who we couldn't develop and they did. So, I mean, it's great to have the picks, but number one, we gotta make them, count. And number two, even more important, we've got to have a coaching staff that knows what they're doing, or it doesn't matter who we get for picks. Anyway, that's as far as Quinnen goes, I'm happy for him to get out of this situation. The poor guy has been with this team for how many years now? 7?
7 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
this
mean,
was
he's suffered long enough. I don't think he's a great player, but I think he's a very good player.
right.
And I hope, I know Ray, like you said, Dallas, tough to root for, but I'd like to see him make the
it is.
playoffs.
So
We'll
would
we'll
I.
we'll, we'll, we'll hope that we'll be happy for Jack Cordero if Dallas does well. How
That's
about that?
true. Okay. Ray, what are your feelings on it? Then I'll give mine. Go ahead, Ray.
Uh, I wasn't expecting the Quinnen one, to be honest with you, even though I kept hearing people saying, he's being talked about. I really wasn't expecting that one, but um, I think we got a good deal for him, and like Ralph and I said too, is I'm happy for anybody who gets out of here right now and can actually enjoy some success somewhere and see what it's like, because Quinnen for 7 years has just been in the same crap, and we're probably, even no matter how the draft picks work out, we're probably another, next year isn't going to be a whole lot different, I don't think, but it might be show us on the rise. That's the main thing. But Sauce, I I like Sauce, but I was so frustrated with him. He couldn't hold on to a pick to save his life. He was getting burned last year. This year he was playing better, but he was still being focused on by refs, and I don't think that was going to change. And who knows, maybe going to Indy will change that for him a little bit, but he was definitely in their sights. So he wasn't a great tackler. So the 2 first rounders made it a no brainer. The guys we picked up, they're backups at best. Mozzie might fill in this year, but I don't see him being a long-term starter. The guy, the one we picked up from the Chargers, Marty, I did see one one stat that I knew you were gonna love. He's pretty solid in most things. I mean, he's not great, but he's not terrible. But he tends to miss tackles.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Okay.
And he hasn't played that many snaps
Right.
on the field, and he has 15 missed tackles on those and 10 missed ones on special teams.
Right.
So that guy, I don't know how long he's destined to be there, but
He's a body, Ray. That's
yeah,
what.
he is. He's a warm body, and we need him right now. But
Right.
we're 1-7, so it's not like
Yeah.
he's gonna make a
I think they
difference.
activated Dean Clark.
They
They
did,
did.
because in
I liked
system,
him.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to watch him.
Yeah. They activated Dean Clark, and I guess they put Andre Cisco on the injured reserve.
has he done
Ralph,
for the year? Did they say if he's done for the year yet?
I think he is. I'm not.
Okay.
It's not confirmed, but I want to ask Ralph, with this trade of Sauce, 3 players. How much do you think they took into account, including our not just our general manager but our coach, the last 6 games, the play of Brandon Stevens, the play since they got him of Jarvis Brownlee, and also the play of last game of A.Z. Thomas. Those three, you think they had an effect on them trading him?
Not much. I think that the offer was everything. I think Brandon Stevens has played a little better. He started out pretty poorly, but I think he's always been a pretty good tackler, and I think that really appeals to Aaron Glenn. Brownlee, has talent. I guess they're going to have him on now that Carter's gone, he'll be their slot guy. But and we're going to, it's good. We get to see these young players as Thomas. Well, we have to find out what we've got in him and Dean Clark and all these guys going forward. I'm not blaming Sauce Gardner, but the fact of the matter is they lost every game with him in there, and the one game he wasn't in there, they won, which doesn't mean he's the problem, but it means he's not an impact player. He's and I don't know what Indianapolis is expecting from him. And I know I hear a lot of fans going, well, the pick is going to be like in the high 20s. Not necessarily. It's a long season. They could crumble that team. It happens all the time. And the same thing with Dallas. Every NFL team is one quarterback injury away from a complete disaster. So you never know with that. And so you can't really trade with that stuff in mind. So I wouldn't worry about that now. And the fact of the matter is the Jets' second round pick this year is going to be almost like a high first round pick, a late first round pick too. So as usual, our favorite time of the year is late April. Uh, it's been that way
Right.
forever,
A
and
decade now.
the next 2 years it's gonna be a lot of fun. And after Sunday when the draft is over, we're gonna be all high and thinking this is it, we're on our way. And whatever. I mean, that's if it makes us happy for a while, that's the way it is being a Jet fan.
Ray, I wanted to ask you, with the wide receivers, and they picked up John Mechie the third from Philadelphia, but with Mechie, with Adonai Mitchell, and the coming out party for Isaiah Williams last game, Garrett Wilson will be coming back. What's your feeling now about the Jets wide receiver room?
I still think we could. I mean, we'll see how these guys play by the end of the year. But if you're asking me right now, I still think, I'd be looking at a top end wide receiver, maybe with one of those first rounders in next year's draft. I know Jeremiah Smith isn't on the board to come out, but Carnell Tate, the guy across from him, he's unbelievable
He's
too.
great. Him and the guy from
So
Arizona State,
yeah.
I've seen are like
He,
two of the best, but I like the guy
he
from
goes
Ohio
up and
State better.
catch him. He
Yeah.
goes up and catches him like nobody's business in traffic. So that's somebody to keep an eye on for a possible, guy to put across from Garrett. But if these guys look like they're, like if Smith looks like he's panning out or something, I'd be okay with, going with them as well. Let's see what they do in the last part of the year. Um, but all in all, and as far as like Ralph said, people complaining that they might be late first rounders. To me, it's like you can find a stud anywhere in the first round. It doesn't have to. A lot of top 10 picks don't pan out to be
Right.
anything. So a first rounder is still a first rounder. And hell, Lamar Jackson was what, 28th pick of the draft by
Oh,
the
I mean, we
Ravens
can
that
go
year?
on listing guys in the
Yeah.
first and second
Yeah.
round,
Yeah.
plenty.
Second,
I
third
would,
round even.
Adonai Mitchell is extremely talented. He had troubles. I've read different things about him, his physical and emotional stuff, but talent-wise, he hasn't really been given a chance.
Right.
I think there's a good or better chance that he becomes a player than Arian Smith. I mean, this guy's much more polished than Arian Smith. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if it'll happen. And as far as the draft next year, the 2027 draft is supposed to be a really strong draft. That's the one with the guy on
Jeremiah,
Ohio State, and also the
Jeremiah
kid
Smith.
on Jeremiah said the kid on Alabama, Ryan Williams, another receiver who's fantastic.
Ralph, I
And
just want to mention, because you mentioned it first, I had it in my notes. Matt Miller, who, believe it or not, years ago I had him on the show, who's a big covers the draft, and he's very well thought of. He says the 2027 draft is shaping up to be one of the best drafts in the history of the NFL. So he's confirming just what you said.
Mhm.
three first round picks we have in there.
Right. Now, I just want to
Yeah.
point out this. they can have 100 first-round picks. Again, it's what he does with
We'll
them.
blow it.
But or 30, 32. But my theory is this. They put themselves in such a good position, foundation wise. If you remember, guys, when the dynasty up in New England started, Bill Belichick, who wasn't the best drafter, he was very, very sharp in trading down or trading out of the first round. I really believe the Jets could set themselves up for a long time if, again, like Ralph said, if they have the right coaching, that if they trade back or trade out and accumulate picks down the road, the fact that they have two picks coming up in this year's draft, it's a great opportunity to trade back and maybe trade out and get another pick in the 27 draft. So I think it's an incredible opportunity. I'm very happy the way Darren Muji is really he's doing some subtle things now with this team, which are it's very interesting. But I wanted to ask, I guess Ralph, I wanted to ask you this: when they extended Sauce Gardner, some people have come out and said that Muji knew he was going to trade him and that he was more tradable under contract. Do you think that holds any weight, Ralph?
Well, I mean, I know Muji in his press conference, and by the way, he's not very good in press conferences. I don't know if
No,
you heard him;
no,
he's terrible.
but he's genuine. I
Yeah,
mean, when he stumbles, he says he's
but he did
fine.
say that they set up the contract so it was a tradable contract. Now, I don't think he was going out of his way. I think he was, it was a Godfather offer that he got, and he couldn't refuse it. If someone said, "I'll give you a second and a fourth," he would have said no. So no, I don't think he set it up expecting to trade him. But I think obviously he was going to listen to anything, and he got the right offer. As far as trading back goes, Marty, this year. It's kind of tricky. I mean, do you want a quarterback this year? You will get a chance to pick a quarterback this year. And, we all know that they say, oh, one X year is a great year for quarterbacks and Y year isn't. And that doesn't always hold true. So, if you want a quarterback this year and you want to, get your choices, then you can't really trade back. I guess you can trade the first round pick
Ralph,
back.
let me just say this because I've been touting this. I want the Jets to draft two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I
First
know, but the other
round
one's going to be like in the fourth or
and
fifth, right?
fourth round. They don't have the third round pick, which I'll go over later. But when I say trade back, if you look and 2026, the Jets right now, if the draft was held today, they'd have the third pick, the 32nd, the 35th, and the 46th. I'm not talking about the third pick. I'm talking about, let's say, the 35th. If they're able to trade back and they get another second round pick in 27, I think that's something that Muji should consider. And I'm not saying trade out of the second round, but they also have the 46th pick from Dallas as of today, so they could trade even behind that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trade their first round pick at all.
yeah.
Absolutely not. I really wouldn't. I wanted to ask Ray, were you surprised or was there any shock that Brees Hall wasn't traded? The rumor was that there was a fourth round pick on the table from the Chiefs and the Jets were holding out for a third round pick. Any thoughts on that, Ray?
I was a little surprised that nobody offered a third rounder, honestly. But I wouldn't have given away for a fourth rounder. Not that it would have been better than nothing, which is what we ended up doing. And I'm not sure how much you know Brees Brees has one of those careers that looked like it's going to be good, but not real long. He tends to get banged up. This might have been the best chance to, you know, unload him for something high, but I'm not mad when the best offer they got was a fourth rounder. I would have expected at least a third, so I'm okay that they kept him.
All right, I want to ask Ralph the same question. Ralph, were you surprised at all? And then, Ralph, the follow-up question to you is, if they franchise a player next year, do you think it's a chance it'll either be Brees Hall or Quincy Williams?
Uh, as
Yeah.
far as the first question goes, I didn't expect anyone to offer a third straight up. What I was hoping was that the Jets could throw back like a fifth and get a third. Fourth is kind of a borderline move. I think I would franchise Quincy Williams before Breece Hall. Uh, obviously a lot of it has to do with how Breece Hall does the rest of the year, but the Jets, they gave away two of their best players on defense. So, they have some fixing up to do. It would be nice to keep Quincy Williams. But I'm glad they didn't give him to Kansas City for a fourth. I don't, because he'd probably do really well there. And Kansas City doesn't need any more help. Marty, I just wanted to say one thing about your your discussion about Bill Belichick trading back. I mean, I've been up here all these years watching him do that,
He
and
wasn't a
he
good drafter either. I
he
know.
wasn't a, he wasn't a
He
good
was a
drafter.
terrible
He was
director.
a terrible drafter, and he collected a lot of picks, but most of them stunk. So you have to come through when you
I
do that. And
I
he
think
drove
that
he
was it.
drove the fans went crazy. They got so sick of it. It was I couldn't stand. Joe Douglas did that a lot too, and it got irritating after a while. You just
right.
wanted to pull the trigger at a certain point. There's only so much time before all the good players are gone.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'll start with Ray. I wanted to ask Ray a question. Ray, the last 5 years were Ralph, Ray, and Marty trying to convince ourselves that Joe Douglas was a lot better of a general manager than he was. And let's take away the Zach Wilson pick. Did we have him overrated?
I think a little bit. I think I expected more from him. I don't think he was a horrible GM, but I don't think he was, in the top end of it. I think he was more middle of the road. He had I think a lot of his reputation was based on one draft that he
Off of
had
the
that was,
yeah, off of that
yeah,
trade, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, and the trade for Adams where he stole, them, and didn't he get a lot from the Colts? Colts gave him a lot too. So didn't we get a couple thirds out of them for somebody when he was the GM?
Um,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just thinking
I,
McCagnon gave the Colts a
I,
bunch of seconds
Magnan
for.
it might have been McCagnon.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure, but in all fairness to him, I don't want to make this into a Joe Douglas show. The quarterbacks drafted in the first round that year, who were they, Ralph? I know it was Mac.
Well, Trevor Lawrence, who's been a disappointment,
Right.
Zach, uh, Trey Lance, who was an absolute disaster, Justin Fields, who's now our disaster, and Marty's favorite, Mac Jones, who is playing pretty well.
I'm
And
not playing
all
either.
that does is highlight how important the coaches and the coaching staff in the development of these quarterbacks. I've been following drafts in football for 55 years, and I've come to the conclusion that it is as much on the coach as it is on the quarterback. I look at these three guys will probably be the first three, if assuming Arch Manning doesn't come out, and I want to talk about him in a minute too. Ty Simpson, Mendoza, and Moore from Oregon, and their success is going to be based on where they go and who's tutoring them as much as
yeah,
their own talent.
yeah,
And so, the most important thing we have to keep our eye on is Aaron Glenn. Really, is this guy up to the job or not? It's
yeah,
still too early.
yeah,
The early returns are not great, but we're going to give him. Obviously, he's coming back next year after what
Right.
yes,
happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously,
yeah,
so
Well, Ralph, let me ask you this. I mean, talking about coaching staff and everything else, the situation in Chicago with Caleb Williams and their coach, who's their coach, Johnson, who's
yeah,
their
Ben
backup.
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. What is your feeling about the way he's developing out there?
Well,
he's
there you
looking
go.
better.
Yeah, exactly. He seems to have straightened that. They got that team headed in the right direction. And I think Caleb Williams was struggling last year big time. And Ben Johnson, we didn't know if he was going to be a good head coach. He was a great coordinator, but it looks like he knows what he's doing. Things change fairly fast in the NFL. I mean, we
Yeah,
can go through. Look at the Commanders. nobody thought they were going to be good last year. They had this dream season, and everyone's thinking this is an up and coming team, and now they're a disaster this year. It happens all the time in the league. It happened with C.J. Stroud after his rookie year. Trevor Lawrence, his second year was terrific, and he's hasn't been there since. You just don't know in the NFL, which is another reason why fans who are saying, "Well, the Indianapolis Colts," I mean, they could bomb out next year. It's just you don't know. So it's the NFL. It's not for long. That's what it stands for. And so, you just have to take it year by year. Who
Right.
knows, Eric? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Ray, I wanted to ask you, we didn't really speak about him, but you being in Ohio and you see Ohio State a lot and you see Ohio State, Michigan, do you remember when Mazi Smith, the defensive tackle, was there at all?
Vaguely, but I don't remember a lot about him. I know he's a big guy, and in the Big Ten, that's how they all are. But he was effective at Michigan, so I
Yeah,
think they thought they had the guy who was going to be kind of what Quentin Williams was for us.
right. No,
Never panned out to be that.
he was thought of very highly. He was your first round pick. I
Yeah,
know. I went to his background coming out of high school. He was
Michigan.
the
Oh, high school.
30. He went to high school in Kentwood, Michigan. I don't know the name of the high school, but 38th top prospect coming out. The and I don't know if you guys are familiar. I know I mention him once in a while. Bruce Feldman, who writes for the Atlantic, he
Uh-huh.
has a list of Feldman's freaks, like a
And he
comic.
was one of them.
He was one of them, one of the top ones, and he said rare power and ability. But the problem that I've heard about him, and what I try to do is, I looked at both Mazi Smith in a couple of interviews before he went on the air, and also Donnie Mitchell. And the knock on Mazi Smith was that he really is not in love with football. So, which to me, it's not good. I always tell you guys that with the quarterbacks, I like their downfield vision. To me, that's one of the most important things. But linemen, they got to love the game. They got to eat, drink, and sleep the game. They really have to. So that to me is kind of a red flag. I just want to mention, though, too, Donnie Mitchell. I did some research on him. I saw him in a couple of interviews. Seems like a nice kid. He ended up, as we know, he played on two championship teams on Georgia and ended up going to Texas because he had a daughter. Now, when he was 16 years old, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So obviously, he's on a special type of diet. I thought, and Ralph, I discussed it with you, I thought he had some other issues
I
with,
thought so too, some emotional issues. Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure, so we'll have to see if we'll have to confirm it. But I can tell you this: early in the season, the scouting report with the Colts, his rookie year, was that he started to get gun shy catching the ball. He had a very high drop rate because he was always nervous about getting hit. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I mean, the guy has a tremendous amount of speed. He has all the tools.
Size. Yeah.
He
He's
has the
really,
size and
yeah.
everything. And still he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. He had one, but he dropped the ball.
He
So,
could
well,
About Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith is big. He's about
big.
335. And I think that, one thing I hear is that the scheme that the Jets were running with Salah was a quickness scheme on their defense. And I think that the Jets now want to, have run stuffers. They got Harrison Phillips, and Mozzie Smith is that type too.
right.
And maybe he'll be a better fit in this defense with this coordinator. Maybe I don't know, Dallas wasn't the right fit for him. But if he doesn't love football, yeah, he'll that's not going to work out. By the way, you heard about the rumor that Dallas, Jerry Jones actually offered Micah Parsons to the Jets for Quentin
Yes,
Williams.
yes. Yeah.
Um, I'm glad
And we
actually
turned
both.
it down.
Yeah, they turned it down. I think probably the reason was because they knew it was going to cost them too much money.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Micah Parsons is a great player, but there's one player on defense. I mean, can they how much impact can one defensive player
Right.
have? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see with Green Bay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let me just do this, and then I want to start talking about, because we have all these draft picks. I want to I printed out Ralph's favorite, Mel Kiper, some of his on his big board, some of the prospects at a couple of positions. But let me just go over this. If the 2026 draft was held today, we have picks number 3, 32 in the first, 35, 46 in the second. We don't have a third round pick this year, no, next year, the next upcoming draft. In the fourth round, pick 103. Fifth round, 178. In the sixth round, we have 3 picks: 191, 204, 206. In the seventh round, we have 3 picks: 239, 253, 254. So we have a lot of picks. We don't have a third round. That may be one of the reasons why Muji wanted a third round for Brees, to get back in there. He doesn't like missing any rounds, like a lot of general managers. Now, as Ralph said, Matt Miller thinks the 27 draft is going to be phenomenal. But the 26 draft, I was looking at the list, Mel's list. I'm not going to bore you guys, but a few players, positions, cornerbacks. The number one rated guy is Jamad McCoy from Tennessee, who's out with an ACL injury. Avian Terrell, Clemson. Brandon Cece, South Carolina. Monzor Delane, LSU, and Colton Hood, Tennessee. Wow,
Tennessee,
they
yeah,
got 2 guys, and not just
yeah.
quarterbacks. And Ralph, you're going to be surprised by this, but Mel Kiper has Dante Moore going in round 1. He's rated number 1. Fernando Mendoza rated number 2. Ty Simpson number 3, and Lenore. I'm sorry.
That was my phone.
Oh, Lenora Sellers from South
Okay.
Carolina, 4. And here's a guy, Ralph. I don't know if you know anything about him, from Oklahoma, John Mateer. Have you seen him play at all?
Not much. He's a transfer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I agree with his top three, not in that order, but I mean, the good thing about the playoff system is you're going to see these guys all playing in high leverage situations against good teams finally, and so we'll know a lot more.
We
But
don't know if Ty Simpson's going to come out from Alabama.
we don't. No, we don't. And I think Moore has the option too of not coming out. But you know what? I mean, if they have great years, they'd be foolish not to. Ty Simpson's been around. It's not like he's young. It's just that got redshirted. Um, and Arch Manning is coming on too, really well. But there's no way in the world if the Jets had the number one pick that Arch Manning would play for the Jets. It just wouldn't happen. The
No.
Mannings are a bunch of divas. Peyton didn't want to play for the Jets. Eli didn't want to play for San Diego. If the other team that's going to be right there is going to be New Orleans, and you know that they want him to play for New Orleans. So, forget about Arch Manning. There's just no way. And frankly, any quarterback, you'd wonder if they'd want to play for the Jets, because they have such a
Right.
bad reputation. But the other guys don't have the cachet that Manning does, and but
Yeah.
I like those. I like Simpson and I like Mendoza. They're my two favorites right now, and either
Right.
one I'd be happy with. But like I said, we got to know how to develop them.
Yeah. And Mendoza, who I like, is 6'5". He's listed at 6'5". Ty Simpson's listed at 6'2". You probably got to take away an inch from that. Ray, I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to get into what's going other positions of college, but one guy that intrigues me. I don't know if you've seen him play. He's an edge pass rusher from Ohio State, Caden Curry. Have you seen him play? Does it ring a bell at all? Do you remember him?
Well, no, I know the name. I haven't watched a lot of the Ohio State games at this point. I mean, they're just killing everybody. And for me, it's just like, I don't know if I'm seeing anything that
Right.
translates as, Matt Patricia is our defensive coordinator, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that, but
Yes.
Yeah.
in his first year, he's definitely locking these guys down. I think This last game they played was the first one that they gave up more than one touchdown in the red zone, and I think they went the first 5 games before they even gave up one in the red zone. Um, so it's hard to judge watching games like that. I mean, they're just kind of dominating everybody.
Yeah,
Um,
and they don't play Indiana. Uh,
although, yeah, you're right. But then I
They have a
realized, well,
playoff game.
they could play them in the Big
Yeah,
Ten championship.
are they in different?
yeah.
I thought they were in the same
So
side,
did
but
I.
They're gonna play him. I'm
they
pretty
were
sure.
talking about them playing in the championship, so they must not
You
be
know,
in
at
this.
that point, I'd rather them not. I'd rather wait to see him play in the playoffs. But you know, the Ohio State and Indiana. I don't know if it. I don't think it works in their favor. You know, these SEC teams. It's a meat grinder schedule. Every week they're playing someone that's dangerous, and I think it probably toughens them up a little bit and gets them used to playing in these really close games. Uh, I I wish, the Big Ten. Oh, Oregon's good, but Illinois, so Michigan, they're not that strong this year. And of course, Penn State,
Penn
total
State,
disaster, absolute
yeah.
disaster.
And then when the quarterback going down, it made it even worse. But I don't think they were that much better when he was in
No,
there. So yeah, that's a surprise. But I think the good thing about it, them both being in the playoffs, you will see them against the better teams, and so we'll see what's real and what's not. I think Ohio State's for real no matter what. I mean,
I'm sure they
it
are.
just
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, I think you know, there could be a good team they face, but I think they'll be rightfully favored in pretty much any game they
but
play.
what I was going to say though is I don't think Ohio State or Indiana would be undefeated if they were in the SEC, which doesn't mean they're not as good, but I think
Yeah, I
they would
mean,
lose a game. Those are road games. They were nasty.
yeah.
Do you think Indiana is for real?
I didn't early on, but now,
Yeah.
when I see them playing, I mean, I think, yeah, I do. I really think they've got really that quarterback's good. Their offense is good. Their defense is solid. I mean, it's not necessarily dominant, but it's not,
Clearly, their coach is good too.
Their coach
yeah,
is good, and I saw them play. I think it was Oregon a few weeks ago.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a
And
legit game.
and the thing
yeah.
I like is that Mendoza threw a pick six, but it didn't phase him. He came right out back after that, and he just started leading that team up and down. The Jets are at home against the Cleveland Brownies this week, and of course, we're gonna have to see who they're gonna play. I guess the quarterback is gonna be Gabriel. Is that it?
Probably
Is it?
Dylan Gabriel,
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
they want to go with Sanders.
Cleveland's another team that's going to draft a quarterback, I would imagine, this year. Even though they
That'd
drafted
be
two
fun.
last year. Um, it'll be interesting. It'll be a good test for our young defensive tackles against Miles Garrett. That'll be.
Right,
We'll
right.
see if the coaching staff is smart enough to give help to whoever's dealing with him on each play.
Right. And
Uh,
I'd like to see them double team, and I'd like to see, Simpson, who we go hot and cold on, has an edge. I'd like him to try to rough him up, even get a penalty on purpose, put him on his backside. I would love that. Get
do you think the Jets should sign AVT next year to a base contract and with a lot of incentives?
you
Would you go
know,
for that?
that's an interesting
I
dilemma,
would
Ralph.
Yeah.
Um, I think
definitely.
there's a better chance today than a week ago because I think they cleared a lot of salary and they have a lot more cap room. Now that's an interesting thing because I mentioned to you,
Well, I wouldn't. They wouldn't be giving him much of a contract. There would be a lot of
let me
incentives.
ask
Yeah.
you this because I gave you the option of two players, of Brees Hall and Quincy Williams, but
Yeah.
is there a chance they could franchise him?
Well, that would cost too much money. He's not worth it at this point.
Okay,
He's too
I don't.
much. He's
Guys,
too much of a
AVT?
risk. Yeah.
Oh
He's
God,
too
no.
much of a
There's no
risk.
way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Then I don't know if they're going to sign him. To be honest with you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they offer him, very little money with a lot of incentives, if just for playing time.
Yeah.
Let him prove it this year. Now the question is there a team that'll step up and give him more money? It only takes one, I suppose. But I'd like to have him back.
Well, I like
Yeah,
him, but he's never on the
of
field.
course, he's never on the field. That's why I'm saying you don't put out much of a risk. You just you let him
Low
go.
base salary and
Yeah,
lots of incentives that make it so if he does play the whole year and has a decent year, he
yeah,
still makes good money. And then
Right.
you can think about extending him maybe, but that's when he'll get hurt.
Well, just so
yeah,
you
exactly.
right now on our depth chart, at backup guards, we have Xavier Newman, who I like, and the other guard is actually they have Xavier Newman at both guards. So
He's very versatile.
yeah,
He's a multitasker.
yeah, and they also have him as a backup center. How's that? Two positions, which
That's why they only
which
have a
is
50-man roster.
which is it.
Yeah,
Ralph,
I got a question for you.
wait, Ralph, before you do, I just want to mention, I know your eyes are going to be on that game because the backup wide receiver to Jerry Judy is Malachi Corley. So we'll have to see. But go ahead, Ralph. What's your question?
um, obviously the Jets are, supposedly going to tank, but the Jets don't even tank well, so they'll probably win a few games that they shouldn't and screw up their draft. What I want to know is at what point, if at any point, do you think they'd give Brady Cook a shot?
I just want to say this.
I think they should
Brett,
look at him.
I think so too, but I gotta tell you, I don't want them to tank. I don't. I just don't want them to do it. I kind of agree with Ray says. If I know they have three quarterbacks up front, but I don't think there's that much of a difference. Forgetting about the quarterbacks, if you're picking like third or if you're picking 12th in the first round, I've always said this: unless there's a Peyton Manning coming out and it's the last game of the year, I just can't root for the Jets to lose. I'm being
Right.
honest with you. Now, as far as Brady Cook, I want to see him play. In one way, I was hoping he'd get in the game last week, but look, um, our quarterback played great. I was looking at some film; he was outstanding. Justin Fields did a great job, especially and we spoke about on that touchdown pass. He was about to get walloped. He
Yeah.
did a great job. So I would like to see Brady Cook. How about you, Ray?
I'll say what I seem to always say is I'm okay with it, but don't throw him in at halftime. Just start the week. He's starting this week. Give
Right.
him a whole
Yeah.
week of prep, and I'm okay with it. Unless there's an injury involved, I don't think throwing a young guy like that in at halftime generally is a great maneuver, especially because our team is not like built like some of these ones that, have a good line and can protect him and then he can do something back there. Um, but I would like to see him. I think you saw how, having time back there makes a difference no matter how good or bad you are. Justin Fields had plenty of time last week for the most part, and he looked great. But this week, he'll probably have very little time, and there'll be a guy named Miles Garrett on his ass pretty much every passing down. And he's a monster. So this is going to look a little different offensively because he's not going to be able to sit back there. And even if he does hold the ball too long, he's not going to get to sit back and wait much in this game.
I would like to see them do what Brian Dable, the coach of the Giants, who's soon to be former coach, uh, did with Jackson Dart. With the first couple of games of the season, he put him in for like one or two
Put him in,
plays,
yeah, for a
you
little
know,
bit.
and they were running plays, whatever. But I would love to have them do that. So, Ralph, to answer your question, I definitely love to see them try Brady Cook.
Well, Marty, you talk about I want to draft a quarterback in the fourth or fifth round. If Brady Cook looks even mildly interesting in these games, he's your second quarterback for next year. Either
Right.
you
Uh,
develop him along with your top
Ra-
pick, and so you have a couple.
Ralph,
So
Ralph, Ralph, if he lights it up, let's say
he
some
doesn't he
miracle,
doesn't even have to light it up. He
no,
just
he
has
could
to
be our
look
first
comfortable.
quarterback. What if he
Yeah.
does all of a
It could
sudden?
be.
You never
Oh,
know.
no, yeah, fine. I know Cleveland got a lot of offers from Miles Garrett, and they held on to him. He's 29 years old. Uh, I was a little surprised. I think if they had gotten an offer of like two firsts and a second or something like that, I
Yeah.
think I would have moved him. Great player, but
He
he's
he just
29.
signed a huge contract though too.
Well, that was before he signed it. That was
Oh,
here. There were
before. Oh,
offers galore.
I thought
Yeah.
Ralph was talking about Tuesday. you know. But
No, I don't
Yeah,
think
I
it
was
was.
talking about Tuesday. Yeah.
Oh, you were. I didn't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
hear that they were getting that. I was
They were
not
getting offers
focused on the
for him.
Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if they passed on trading him last year, then chances were they weren't gonna
Well,
because they were
maybe they
banged up.
figured they might be good and they're terrible again. So they probably a couple of years down the road too. And like I said, he'll be in his 30s. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I would have really thought about that.
yeah,
yeah.
I wanted to ask just to step up. We're going to close this out in a couple of minutes. Ray, your favorite Teflon Tom Brady. He could do no wrong. It came out. It was in the news that he cloned his dog. Now he's got a new dog from the other dog, which I find incredible. I mean, nothing could ever be said negative about this guy. He could have a kid out of wedlock, which he did. He does this. And I just wanted to ask you, Ray, cloning the dog, he has a dog. If like Aaron Rodgers did it or basketball's Kyrie
And
Irving did
that-
it, would they
yeah,
say that the guy's nuts?
yeah. Oh, they would have. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, definitely. Because Aaron, I think Aaron is nuts, but some of the things he would do draws at. Brady tried to sound normal when he does things. He never sounded like, oh, I got to go on some dark retreat or I gotta, you know,
right.
Yeah,
let you
well, he
know.
has his like avocado, whatever,
Yeah,
diet,
he's got
whatever.
his diet
But
about,
I'll tell you this, living up here, there are people who come after him, commenters. The problem is that, his opposite is Belichick, who everyone can't stand up here, and Brady actually, won the battle, when they split up. You know, uh, there are some people who sort of roll their eyes with some of his stuff. And the fact, my friend of mine who's a big Patriots fan, he looks at me and says, "Why is that guy like broadcasting on the number one team? He's really not very good." Uh, because he's
I mean,
Tom
I don't
Brady.
know.
Yeah,
I'm not his biggest fan. Marty knows that, but I don't think he's been that bad in on the TV. I
he
mean,
hasn't
he's
been
not.
that bad, but I don't
No,
think he rates being the number
yeah,
one guy
He
on Fox.
yeah.
he
I
got
think that,
better, and there was a
yeah.
lot of criticism, and I think some of it's justified. Having him as a broadcaster doing color and also as a part owner
Owning,
of a football team, it just something is strange about that, you know? It really is. Uh,
especially when he was doing a game where Oakland was playing and he's interviewing the other team, the
right,
player.
right,
It's
Well, I always
ridiculous.
find it interesting when I watch a college football game and like Kirk Herbstreit is doing an Ohio State game or someone else the other day. Oh, it was Greg McElroy was doing an Alabama game.
right,
And if I it doesn't occur to me sometimes I'm watching the game because they actually do a pretty good job of being neutral. But then when it suddenly occurs to me, oh crap, Herb Street went to Ohio State. Then I start listening closer and closer
right.
to it. Sometimes they actually overdo it the other way. Uh, but
Yes.
And Ohio State fans get mad at him for that all the time.
well, fans of teams, they
Yeah,
Troy Aikman and
yeah.
Joe Buck. I mean, they say one negative thing about their team
Get
that
it. Yeah.
they're all over their team. They hate their team. It's like they never criticize any other team. They have no perspective at all. So I was watching kind of neutrally. Those two guys, Herb Street and Greg McElroy, old friend Greg Mc, they've done pretty well when I've watched them.
Right. And
Yeah,
by
I
the
think
way, just want to point out, you mentioned New England. I heard from my old friend, college roommate Jeff Brenner. He reminded me after the trades that we still have to play the Patriots twice. Ralph, how's the pulse up there with the team and Vrabel and Derek May?
Well,
well,
what can you say? I mean, this is what I talk about with the NFL. Things can change on a dime, and I think they're going to keep going, and I think they're going to win 12 or 13 this year. I'll
Drake
bet
May. I
they'll,
said Derek May. Drake May.
yeah,
Sorry.
they'll win a playoff game, and you watch next year they'll crack, they'll crumble. Something will happen. It's the way it is in the NFL. Just when you think a team is on the rise, something happens. But we wanted Vrabel, yeah, for good reason. He should be the coach of the year, and I think Drake May should get serious consideration at this point for MVP. I don't know if it'll continue, but
right.
yeah, I mean, I can't even get too down on them because they did it the right way, and
Yeah.
I'm envious of them,
Ray, would you vote for Drake May over Sam Darnold for MVP?
Oh, that's right.
Not yet. I mean, at this point, Sam's knocking it out of the park too, but which is one of the things when you brought up that
Joe
what's
Douglas?
his name? What's his name out in San Fran now from the Patriots?
Mac Jones,
Mac
yeah,
Jones and Sam, both on former teams, are looking great. There's an example of how coaching makes a big difference.
and
But
Baker
not just
Mayfield,
coaching.
yeah, Baker Mayfield too,
And plus having talent around you. And when Sam was on the Jets, he had nothing. I mean, we could have developed him all we want. We had the worst offensive line, and it continued well after Sam too.
He wasn't ready yet either, and they
No, he
rushed
wasn't
him.
ready. They rushed
But very few guys are. I mean, most guys have it's not a linear curve, as far as development goes with these guys. Some once in a while you get a Joe Burrow who walks in
yeah,
there and he's ready, or the kid on San Diego, Herbert.
yeah.
But most of them, the
Most of
learning
them
curve,
need
yeah, the learning
time.
curve is slow. Yeah, it really
And
is.
and I think it was the same thing with Mac Jones. Look at how he is under Shanahan as opposed to how he was when he went out in New England. And
Yeah, for him, I think it's fit also.
yeah,
He's perfect for
yeah.
Shanahan's
It's that kind of
style.
offense that
Yeah.
clicks with
Uh,
him. So it's not just about the team, everything. With the Jets, I think it is because they always draft these guys and put them in the start, like Zach. Even Zach admitted, which I don't know if it would have made a difference, but even Zach admitted I shouldn't have started that first year. Of
no,
course
it's
you
it's
should.
crazy.
With nobody in
Mahomes
there.
and Brady were the two best quarterbacks of our generation. Neither of
Yeah.
them played their first year.
Oh,
Um, and that's the worry, Marty, about picking a guy in the top three. The
Well, Ralph,
pressure to
let me just interrupt you. I think if they do, and they probably will, and whoever it is, and that's why I think it's good that we have Justin Fields under a 2-year contract. So
no, obviously, but if he stinks it up, the pressure is
right,
gonna be
to
on,
throw him in
and
there.
yeah, he's got to resist that. He's got to resist that.
Gotta let him learn.
Yeah, it took Drake May about 5 or 6 weeks to get in there. Like you said, Marty, by the bye or something like that.
Yeah.
You
right,
know, they
yeah.
they could have settled into the professional lifestyle, but
You don't want to
it's
start them against a Miles Garrett or a Joey Bosa.
Oh,
no. But then
Yeah,
you
no,
look at Jalen Daniels last year, he stepped right in, but
yeah.
Caleb Williams struggled. It's you just don't know. But the odds are it's not going to work when you
right.
throw them in there, especially when they're wearing the green and white. It never works. Although actually with Mark Sanchez, he had a good team around
Yeah,
him,
Good
so he
he
was
had
offensive
probably the
okay.
line.
best line we've had since the
Yeah, that's what
60s.
I'm saying because he was no more talented than Sam Darnold
No, not at all. He
physically.
was less talented, really.
Yeah,
But the guy, his first 2 years, four road playoff wins. I don't know if it's ever been done in history by any rookie and second year guy. He wasn't great, but it just means so much to have a stable organization around you.
it does. It does. We'll see. But nevertheless, we're going to close this out as
Hey, one more thing,
go ahead,
Marty. I just
Ray.
gotta go real quick. I told you
Go.
guys before. Saw a clip on Facebook from WFAN, and I don't know his last name. One of the guys, Evan. I don't know his
Evan
last
Evan,
name.
Roberts.
yeah. He's with
Evan what?
He's on the afternoon. Good bit.
Yeah,
Huge Jet fan,
yeah.
huge
Jets
Jeff
and
fan. And
Mets.
his since the draft, his whole idea on what the Jets need to do is to trade, I don't know if all of them, but a lot of these top draft picks and see if they can pry Joe Burrow away from Cincinnati. And I was like,
Well,
Yeah, I heard that
hey,
take.
we
Yeah.
haven't seen that, tried that before, have we, Aaron,
Well, you know
uh,
what? If Joe Burrow was healthy
Tebow?
all the time, I'd take him in a heartbeat. But the
Yeah,
guy's not. He's going to have a career like Andrew Luck, probably.
well,
and
and look. Speaking of that, Ralph, Ray, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
it's
it's
okay.
becoming the same thing with Jaden Daniels. Is becoming another RG to third. I mean, the guy is out now.
Yeah,
He's constantly hurt.
brutal injury. That
Yeah,
was a brutal one. But I mean, we traded a bunch of picks for Favre. Then we traded picks for Tebow for some reason. That I don't know how that one ever came to be. And then we did it again with Aaron. So we've tried that crap about
Right.
having all these picks and trading them, thinking the quarterback is all we need. I mean, this team needs so much. If they traded everybody for one guy, I'd lose my mind.
I would never do that. I think
I
it's
hope
bad
they don't.
business, and I don't think he's going to do it. Ray, one last thing, nothing to do with football though. Ralph might be interested. Ray, I know the Blue Jackets, your hockey team, played the Islanders. Did you get to see
Yeah.
Matt Schaefer play at all?
I listened to the game. I didn't watch it, but he had two goals. He's really been solid, but it's a long season. I wonder if he'll wear down
Well,
as
I got to tell you something. When the Islanders won the lottery, I watched film on this guy. He didn't play that much this year because he was hurt. But they have this great stuff online where they take every one of his games and they'll just show every shift of his. And the kid is great. He's
oh, he
absolutely
is.
great. He's going
Yeah.
to be a superstar. And he's an example of one of these kids who has no business playing the way he's the best player on the team. He's 18
Yeah.
years
18
old.
years old. He
Yeah,
lost his
yeah.
mother 6 months ago. He's living
Yeah.
with Boomer Esiason's daughter, who's married to a guy in the
Matt
island.
Martin, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the draft, I went to watch the draft down at the Nationwide Arena. They had it, and you listen to him talk after getting picked, and what he'd been through with his mom passing and everything. It was really very cool, very emotional, and good kid, really
Yeah.
good kid.
He's going to be fantastic. He's a generational player. And
Let's
the
hope he
funny,
stays healthy. I've become an
yeah. Well, you
Islander.
know what? There have
Yeah.
been two or three times when team guys were taking runs at him, and
Yeah.
everyone else on the ice for the Islanders just goes
Good.
after
Was
the
that,
Good.
guy.
was
Yeah.
that Boston last night?
They did it
They
with
were talking.
Boston.
I
Philly
Yeah,
did
saw
it to him
that.
too.
Yeah.
Philly did too.
The
Yeah,
Philly one was hilarious. The guy looks up and he sees three Islanders coming, and they basically pushed him into his own bench. And it was like you could see the look in his eye, like, whoa.
But what is it? Is he a tremendous skater, tremendous stick
He
handler?
plays well. The crazy thing is, you figure defensemen take longer to develop in hockey. They just do. It's hard. Defense is just harder, and usually takes 2 or 3 years. His
yeah,
defense is great. I mean,
yes,
everyone knew that he could skate and he can do that stuff, but he's just playing both ways.
So
yeah.
his
He's got
skating
a
is
200-foot game.
yeah. Because I'm not comparing him, but I was a huge Bobby Orr fan. I remember when the Bruins used to be down a man, and he used to kill penalties.
Yeah, I know,
Like
ragging the puck.
was
You didn't see that. Yeah, yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
yeah.
never saw anything like it. I mean, could he do anything like that, Ralph?
Well, he hasn't done that yet, but his skating is like oars. He flies around. I know it's sacrilege to even put him in the same breath with him now, but at 18 years old, he's doing things that no 18-year-old has ever done before
Orr
as a
was 19, I
defenseman.
think, when he
Or
came.
was 18 when he
Oh, he was
came up in
18
the
too.
league.
Came
Yeah,
in, yeah. But
there have been a few 18-year-old defensemen who have done it, but very few. And
Kel
it's
McCarr has been really
Cal
good.
McCarr is great.
Yeah,
He's the best in the
And
world
and
right now.
was
right now.
Schaefer the first pick of the draft, Ray?
He was the
Yeah,
first pick.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
Right.
was the first pick. That was a
All
great
right.
draft. Now, the game has changed so much since Orr, though. I mean, Orr, nobody's ever seen an offensive defenseman like that
Right.
before Orr, but these guys are so much faster now. I mean, up and down the lineup, the game is so much
Yeah.
faster.
Well, he changed the game more basically. The
Yeah, he
defenseman
did.
just sat at the blue line and he totally
Yeah,
changed the game, and it's just
his
kept
puck
growing
handling
since
was
then.
amazing.
Yeah.
And now you got all these Europeans and Americans who play. It only used to be Canadians back when
Right.
Orr was playing.
That's right. No,
An
I
American playing back then was like
right.
weird.
It was,
Ray,
yeah. If you had an American or a black, there were like
Yeah,
two in the league, right? It was just
yeah,
now, and
Bobby.
The Europeans are all over the
that
place,
is.
and
And Ray, I
There's a
remember when I went to Boston University, they were great in hockey, but the big thing was BU had Canadian players and Boston College had American
yeah,
players.
yeah,
yeah.
There was, and that, of course, that's a change. And we're going to close this out for, I guess, Jets Rewind and Islander Rewind with
that's right.
Matt Schaefer. We're all big Matt Schaefer fans
Uh,
on the Islanders. So, anything last second about the Jets coming up with the Browns at all? Any last thoughts with the trades with Darren Muji, with Justin Fields, with Aaron Glenn? Anything? Anything on Aaron
well,
Rodgers?
I'm not sure what to expect out of our defense right now. So, I mean,
It doesn't
let's
seem
see
like
if we can.
Cleveland's got much of an offense, do they?
Not really. I mean, I think their offensive line is a little iffy, and the quarterbacks are a little uh, iffy as well. So,
Right.
but if our defense, it's going to be interesting to see if um, what's his name, Mozzie shows
Yeah.
up and,
Yeah.
does stuff in
But
there and can hold
Or
things, and how
Mitchell
the
and
DBs
Michi.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mitchell and Michi. So we have things to watch.
yeah, we got
But I
things to
think,
watch.
yeah,
So
but I think the most important thing to watch from here on in the rest of the year is our offensive line, our two
yeah,
tackles.
right.
yeah,
That's
We
it.
want to see them grow. That's
exactly.
crucial. Yeah,
Right.
especially Olu. He's gotta pick up his game a little more.
I'll say this about Owu. I mean, this is as much as Miles Garrett dominates everybody. I think this is a better matchup for Owu than some of these other guys who are really quick. Miles Garrett is very athletic, but he's not this little quick guy who is like going around him and and he's still standing still. So at least it's somebody he can get his hands on.
Olu's okay on the outside move. This inside move kills him
Yeah.
though. He always
Yeah.
gets faked out.
I mean,
Anyway,
Hopefully,
Miles Garrett dominates
I
everybody.
don't want to throw cold water on our victory, but I got to tell you, I was watching some of the Bengal game last Sunday.
oh,
Their defense, I've never
it's
seen any.
you could see it against the Jets. It was like
The
I will
tackling.
say, shouldn't, what do you guys? My thought was their biggest mistake, right when they did it, was they didn't run the ball a second time inside the 10 and make them use that last time out.
Oh,
And
against
they would have had two
yeah,
tries to score.
yeah,
And that same play they ran to score probably would have worked on the next play because they didn't run. If they just run it up the middle, make them use
right.
that last time
Yeah,
out, they probably would have gotten them down where it would have been down to like a 50-some 60-yard field goal, or they win.
right. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco, he's like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and going and going. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, an
Uh,
unbelievable game.
for Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio, Ralph Sharega, who's in Belmont, Mass, and yours truly, Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York. Please give us some comments. We love comments and a thumbs up. And enjoy the game on Sunday. We should be on the air right after the game. Until next time.